praying for some lost family member for 10, 15, 20, 25 years and they haven't gotten saved yet, right? Well, it sounds like repetition, and if they haven't gotten saved, it sounds like it's vain, and I'll bet you're not going to quit. So here is the Lord. I call this an economy of words. This is the Lord saying so many tremendous things in so few words. Look what he says. We're going to review a couple of things, and we'll get to the part of it that I want you to see. He says this in verse 8. Matthew chapter 6, verse 8. Verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven. I'm impressed with this God. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the creator of the universe. You know why? Because I am what you are. You and I are nothing but a walking, talking piece of dirt. Isn't that true? Now, let me tell you about this creator. This creator can pile dirt up and breathe into its nostrils the breath of life. And it doesn't get life. It becomes a living soul. A dog has life. A dog is not a living soul. Do you understand? So when God breathed into the nostrils of a pile of dirt, it just didn't become alive, man. It wasn't Pinocchio. It just, he got a life, but he never became a soul. Do you understand? I mean, this piece of dirt became a living soul. Now, forgive me for using this word, but I'm just going to say it because it just kind of describes it best. Pretty good trick, wouldn't you say? Pretty impressive, wouldn't you say? I mean, if God stopped there, wouldn't that be enough? But God didn't stop there. He breathed into our nostrils the breath of life and we became a living soul. Then this creator went back to heaven and got the only son that he had and had him come down here and die so that this piece of dirt right here talking to you. As I speak to you, you know what I'm doing? I am on my way to heaven. I am destined to spend eternity. A piece of dirt is going to spend eternity in heaven with its creator. Pretty good? Good enough for me. Not good enough for God. If God had stopped there, it was enough for me. But let me tell you, when you and I got saved, during that what I call that divine transaction, you got down on your knees, according to John chapter 8, verse 44, you got down on your knees, a son of the devil, and when you got off your knees as a son of God. And so now, let me tell you what this piece of dirt does. This piece of dirt, every single day, addresses its creator, and you know what? Now look, what could I call him? What could I call God? I could call him God. I could call him creator. I could call him almighty. I could call him Lord. I could call him master. Could I not call him any one of those? I could call him wonderful. I could call him counselor. Aren't there just a raft of names that I could call God when I pray, and they'd all be accurate? But you know what I call him? A piece of dirt addresses its creator, and I say, Father. And it is true. How can you not be impressed with this God? Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. You know, he is teaching his disciples a format for prayer. If you don't want to use these exact words, try the format. Here's what I mean. When's the last time you started your prayer by saying something good about God? Most of you did not. Because most of you really, you said you were talking to God, but you're looking for Santa Claus. Because you got a list of things and you want God to take care of it. I mean, you're looking for somebody in a big red suit with a white beard. You're not looking for anybody with nail holes in his hands. Well, preacher, you know, I don't want to say something to flatter him. You know, I've always thought sometimes that flatter is a compliment beyond reason. Could I ask you a question? What can you say good about God that his reaction will be, well, that's a little over the top. Well, I'm not all that. Man, he is worthy of anything we call him that's good. Isn't that true? Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Hey, let me ask you this, guys. When is the last time you ever went to God in prayer? Because you're going to ask him for something. When's the last time you ever went to God and said, I hope you get what you want? Most of us only ever go into the presence of God because we want to get what we want. Isn't that true? That's why you're praying in the first place. You've got your Christmas list. You've got your grocery list. You've got the things God's supposed to do for you today. And so we go into his presence and all we say is, God, do this. But that is not how the Lord taught us to pray. He said, I hope you get what you want. Now, let me ask you this. I think I know the answer to this. Am I talking to a group of people here? I don't mean just as a group, though. I'm talking about as individuals. Am I talking to a group of individuals who, before you eat, you bow your head and ask and thank God for your food? Do you do that? Now let me ask you this. All of you who thank him for your food, do you ask him for it? Look at verse 11. Give us this day our daily bread. You know, Canada is very much like the United States in one respect. Don't take that as an insult. But it's very much like the United States in one respect. Canadians and Americans don't realize that 85% of this world wakes up every day wondering two things. How am I going to get food and how am I going to keep it? I will tell you there are 4 reasons why you people never ask God for your food. You know what they are? Your refrigerator, your freezer, your pantry, and your grocery stores. I've not been in your homes, but I'll bet you've got a refrigerator, a freezer, a pantry, and somewhere between here and your house you will go past a grocery store. That's kind of tough for a Baptist, but you will go past a grocery store. I'll bet you this. I haven't been in your home, but I'll bet you've got more food than you can eat in one day. That's pretty impressive for a Baptist. And if your refrigerator and your freezer and your pantry get a little bit low, you're not going to ask God to fill them. What are you going to do? You're going to go to the grocery store and restock. Isn't that true? But you know, if this worldwide recession really takes a plunge, and if the United States and Canada and the Western world all of a sudden find ourselves on the downward slope of an abyss, you know one of the first things that's going to happen? Empty grocery store shelves. Empty grocery store shelves, you know what that's going to mean? That means eventually you're going to have a refrigerator and a freezer and a pantry that are going to start to wane on their stock. Am I right? 35 million people? Canada? 35 million? When your grocery stores are empty and your refrigerator and your freezer and your pantry, when those start getting low, I'll bet you're going to ask God for your food. Right? Don't you think you're going to have that idea about same time 35 million other people are going to have the idea? And I'll tell you, I don't know about you, but I hate lines. I do. I hate lines. Man, hey, I'm going to come to Canada and pray because we got 300 million. So I'm going to pray in Canada because the line is a lot shorter. But you know what I do? Look, we have a motorhome. We haven't had a house in 24 years. We have a motorhome. It has somewhat of a refrigerator. It has a little bit of a freezer. It does not have a pantry. There's no place put there to put canned goods and stuff. So we put them, you know, like in my suit coat pockets. But you know, I don't trust the refrigerator, and I don't trust the freezer, and I don't trust the pantry, and I don't trust the grocery stores. You know what I do? I ask God every day, please give us this day our daily bread. I pray that prayer right there every day. Please don't come and tell me the words of the Lord are vain. I ask God every day for my food. Stop and think about this, guys. Now look, I suggest, if it's give us this day our what? Daily bread, then he must be thinking you should pray this every day. Right? Almost like you should repeat it. Anyway, it's only vain if you don't get the food. But guys, you know what I do? Every day I ask God, please give us this day our daily bread. Stop and think about this, you Baptist. If you ask God for your food every morning, then wouldn't every meal you had that day be an answered prayer? Man, you could have like 4, 5, 6 prayers a day answered. I bet I got somebody sitting here right now going, man, God never answers my prayer. Well, tomorrow morning, ask him to give you food and see if he answers it. All right, I'm serious. And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Look what it says in verse 13. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. He told us to pray every day, please don't lead me into temptation. Here's what I tell people about temptation. Temptation is like a magnet. It has a sphere of influence. We've all done this at some point. You take a piece of, we used to take typing paper, but you can't find that anymore, so we get copier paper. And you get this piece of copier paper, and you sprinkle metal filings on the top of it, and dead center underneath it, you put a magnet. When you put that magnet right under the center of that piece of paper, the metal filings that are above there do 3, not 2, but 3 things. The metal filings that are within the sphere of influence of the pull of that magnet, you know what they do? Boom! I mean, they just all stand right up, right over top of the magnet. You ever see it done? And then the metal filings that are outside the sphere of influence of that magnet, you know what they do? They're laying there like they're on the beach, like they don't even know there's a magnet around. But right at the edge, they're not out there laying down, but they're not on above the magnet. You know what? You got a bunch of metal filings going like this. You say, what are they? Tempted. That is exactly true. The ones that are over the top of the magnet gave in to temptation. The ones out there laying around doing nothing don't even care. They are not influenced by that magnet. But these are not sure they want to stay here or plunge. So here's what you need to do. Guys, you need to ask God every day according to the Lord. You need to ask God. Start your day by saying, please lead me not into temptation. I've had people say some things, and Christians are good at saying dumb things. And I had somebody say, well, you know, I want to get tempted so that I can get stronger against it. You can't. It's impossible. Because the very word is temptation. Right? Then if you put yourself in the way of temptation, you are tempted to do something. You can't get not tempted. You know, here's what I'm saying. You can exercise your faith and build it stronger. You don't exercise temptation and get resistance to it. I'll tell you what happened. Kathy and I got married between my second and third year of Bible college. And we went down to Bible college. And I can remember one day I got out of the car and I closed the door and I heard something go thunk. And I want you to know that the exhaust system on my car was in perfect condition. I could tell because it was laying on the ground. And we were college. I was a college student, third year school, no money. I mean, we licked rocks for vitamins. And so, but we're saving up money for next month's rent. So what I did is I took some of next month's rent money and here's what I prayed. I said, God, your car is broke. And I'm going to fix it for you. Keep that in mind. And so I fixed God's car. I loaned him some money. And then my wife got sick and had to go to the doctor. And I didn't have any money for the doctor. So out of next month's rent came some more money for the doctor. And then I got sick. And you know how men are. They don't go to the doctor. But when a man goes to the doctor, he's sick. Man, I was sick. And I went to the doctor. And we had these bills coming in. We trust the Lord to take care of us. But we had these bills coming in that were unexpected. But I'll tell you what else happened. Almost simultaneously with these bills coming in that we weren't expecting, money began to come in. I'd go to church and somebody would walk up and say, here's $5. This happened in October. We just went down at the end of August, early September. This happened in October. In October, one of my wife's sisters sent a letter, and in that letter was a $10 bill, and she said this, I was going to send this to you at Christmas, but the Lord told me to send it now. So one day we're walking through the grocery stores. Not that we had money, but we're Baptists. We can at least lust after groceries. I mean, if you don't have any money, man, you just walk down the aisles and go, whoa, cereal. And so we're walking through the grocery store, and I had an idea, and it's so rare that I have to act on it immediately. And I said, Kathy, add these figures up. And I gave her the cost of repairing the car, her doctor bill, my doctor bill, some other things came up. I gave her our unexpected bills, and she said, $52. I said, okay. I said, now add these figures up. And I gave her the $10 that her sister sent and $5 somebody gave us at the church and $2 here and $1 here, whatever. And she looked over at me. I mean, her eyes were this big and she went, $52. $52 in bills came in unexpectedly. $52 in cash came in unexpectedly. Now, you may be impressed with that. I was not. As soon as she told me $52 had come in, just between me and the Lord, I didn't say anything, but I said, okay, you owe me $5 more. Because I believe in tithing. And that 52, I can eat 20 cents. I've tithed $5. So I'm expecting $5 more. I really did. I told the Lord, I said, I tithed that 52, so you have not paid my bills yet. And that was on Saturday. I came back home from work on Monday, and when I got to the door, Kathy met me there. She's all smiling. She says, guess what we got in the mail today? I said, $5 more. She said, how'd you know? That is the truth. Now here's what we were. We were a young married couple. And you know what we had to have? $52 faith. You know, I feel bad for young married couples today because they start out with like $70 million faith. You talk to somebody that's getting married, well, we're going